Calling the meeting to order at 7:02. Jesse, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Suzanne, will you take roll call?
Trustee Villalobos? Here. Trustee Bradall? Here. Trustee Shiakari?
Here.
Trustee Levin?
Here.
Trustee Gould?
Here.
Thank you.
The district digitally records the audio portion of the meetings. The recorder is located in front of the board scribe. All recordings are kept in the superintendent's office for 30 days and are available during that time period for inspection by members of the public on district equipment without charge. As a community service, Pacifica Community Television records and broadcasts meetings. The board met in closed session regarding conference with labor negotiator agency and public employee performance evaluation title superintendent. No action was taken. Approval of the agenda and consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda will be approved with one motion, which is not debatable and which requires a unanimous vote for passage. If any member of the board, the superintendent, or the public so requests, any item shall be removed from this section and placed in the regular order of business following approval of the consent agenda. Okay, this is an action item. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move to approve this consent agenda.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Board passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Communications. This portion of the agenda is available to the public to address the board, bless you, on any issue that is not on the agenda. The maximum time allowed for any speaker is 3 minutes. LSEA?
Hi, tonight we will be hearing a short presentation from Kathy Green up at Lindemar.
Hi, my name is Kathy Green. I'm the independent study teacher for the homeschool program of the Pacifica School District. I just want to give you a little background on the program. The inception was in the school year of 2001-2002. The then superintendent, Michelle Garside, had come from Butte County, which was primarily of farming communities, lots of farming communities, so they had over 600 families that were homeschooled. So when she came to Pacifica School District, and we are the district of choice, she thought that an independent study program would be an addition. We were the first in San Mateo County. Later, Redwood City started a program. They since have stopped it. The state review says that an independent study program through a district or through a charter school can service this county as well as adjoining counties. So I see students across San Mateo County, of Santa Clara County, Alameda, and San Francisco County over my 10 years of doing this position, which I've enjoyed very much. The state also requires that an independent study teacher meet with a homeschool student for an hour once a month. Now, our school board back then at that time said, you know, that's too long. We're going to meet every 2 weeks. And I am on a cycle where I meet with my families and each child for about an hour every 2 weeks. We also sign, state matrix textbooks. What's adopted by our district is what we use with our students as well. We sign a contract every trimester between the student, the parent, and myself. And the agreement is that the student is doing the work, the parent is teaching, overseeing, and my job is to facilitate, to support in any way I can. So the mandatory part of the program is that the children are doing the work, but we have a lot of support things that we offer too. So I'm not sure how to use this, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. Okay, so thanks. Yeah.
You can just tell me when to turn it.
Oh, could you turn it, please?
Sure.
Thank you, Will. Thank you. Okay, so one thing that we offer that's optional, we have classes on site. the even Wednesdays of the month, the second and fourth Wednesdays of the month from 10 to 2. In this case, we have a garden that we have. We do gardening. We also do writing for an hour, writer's workshop model. And remember, we are TK through 8th. So whoever wants to come is included in that. Science, we use, I'm on a cycle with the 2 other science teachers here at Valleymar, and we share the FOSS kits. So those go back and forth from us, yeah. And then we also do art, a little bit of art, and then we do gardening. So that's optional. Now on the odd Wednesdays of the month, such as this one, another service that we offer is that I can go to the homes of families. So today I saw 6 students on the road. Now I'm not driving to Menlo Park. I'm only driving, today I was in San Francisco, South City, and Daly City, and sometimes I'm in Colma, depending on where the child is a cousin, so sometimes we go back and forth between those places. So that's an option. So if you want to keep clicking with the, sorry. We also offer field trips again. That's an option if they like, and we do monthly field trips. That's actually my co-teacher there, Miss Sanders, and I also am a reading intervention teacher at Ortega, and the principal there covers, I'm there for 6 hours a week, and she covers Miss Sanders for 6 hours, so it'd be once every Wednesday. She comes to that, so we do field trips, and we can try, oh yeah, and then we're at the rodeo, okay, so those are some of the things, and we can go on to the next, thank you. Yeah, another field trip, okay, we like field trips, we got a lot. Okay, so then now there's a question of why would students choose this? Why do families choose independent study? Well, there's a myriad of reasons. In this case, you're seeing that it's for travel. This young man is in 4th grade, and remember the national parks, if you're in 4th grade, it was all entry for free, so they decided they're taking off time, and they just went across the country to national parks. The student at the bottom, her father is in theater. He's here for 7 months out of the year, and 5 months out of the year he's in Vienna. So they go to Vienna, and in the system in Vienna, they don't like students to start and stop. So it's not really an option. Can I just come for 5 months? So what they do is they do independent study with me while they're there. And this year, we have another parent family who the father is a professor, so he's doing online courses, and they bought an RV and they're traveling the country. So people can choose it for that. That's one thing for travel. People choose it just as a lifestyle, that it works well for their family. A lot of them have relatives in different places, again, and they like the freedom of being able to travel but still to be doing their work while they're gone. Some kids, get in trouble. They may be expelled from their district. And then once Ray has approved it, and they just made a little mistake. It's a little glitch. They're great kids, and they just need a chance to get going again and get through 8th grade and make it onto high school. So that's always our plan. Some people, I work with certain communities of people. So I work with the Roma community, a lot of gypsy families. They're always traveling too, but they're still doing their work, and they don't like their girls really to attend middle school with boys. That's the same for my Yemeni girls. I have a large community of Yemeni girls that I've worked with over the years, and now going to their weddings and where their babies are being born. But it's the same thing, is they'll go through K-5 in San Francisco, but once they hit high school, middle school, their parents want them, a little separated. And I also work with Muslim boys that are in Islamic school. So during the day, they're going from 8 to 2, and then they do this program afterwards while they take the 3 years off from school to memorize the Quran. So those are just some communities that I work with. And then there's just families that are in respite care. So say for a minute something's happened with the family, they can't really make it to school, their schedule has changed, and or they're new to the community and they're not really sure of the schools, or they're on a waiting list and they're still waiting to get in, and so they do this. So we are very flexible. We are like, my point is to maintain self-esteem and keep the kids moving and feeling good about themselves and what's going on and learning as they move. So that's my place of passion that I come from. So I'm very happy to do that. Oh yeah. And so we also do on-site collaboration. So it's so nice to have some of my cohorts over here, from the preschool SDC classes, and we put on stone soup from things that we raise in the garden, and the kids help come and make the soup with us, the little kids, and then we all eat it. So we could go to the next one. And then we also do a talent show that we put on for them. In his case, he's teaching them, painting primary colors and mixing those and she has a snake that she brought that she's sharing with them. It's all, you never know what you're going to find at the talent show. It varies. So, yeah, and then 4-H is also on our site at Linamar Educational Center, and we get manure from them, and then we just move it over in wheelbarrows over to our garden. So there's always a lot going on there, and it's a great site, and I'm very thankful to be able to do this job. And if you have any questions or comments, hi. Out in the, hi. Yes, hi.
I met some of your students once, and they are the hardest working volunteers that I've seen.
Oh, because we always go to the resource center.
I wasn't gonna say
That's our
that.
community service field trip once a year.
Oh my gosh, they were so focused and got in there,
They're young.
organized. Yeah, there were little ones, older ones, and I could not believe the hard work they did.
Yeah, and I think that's a big plus of the program, that it really creates self-directed, independent students. This independent studies is the most individualized instruction you can get. So some of my students come in at kindergarten and they're already at 3rd or 4th grade in math. And so that wouldn't really work for them to go into a regular class. And some of them at 1st grade are already reading 6th grade level. You know, I bring them back down to 3rd because we have to write. They don't write, they just love to read. You know what I said? Well, you know, we got to work on this together. So, but you just don't know, you know, it's a range of kids, but they do take on the tasks themselves. And when I conference with them, when I see them every time, I'm working right with them. And I also tutor them on site if they choose, or they can come and work on site when I'm there for a quiet place, because a lot of them have younger brothers and sisters and the house gets too loud. So that's another option that we offer as opposed to our competition, which is other charter independent study programs. They don't have a place where they can actually come to. So anything else?
So how do these students fit into the accountability system? Like when we're looking at the numbers and the dashboard, where do they show up?
Well, they do take we just saw that. I just saw our breakdown for us. We take the state test in the first week of May. We are more, though we're not using the rest of the district uses a specific report card. We use our own because we are more portfolio based, so we are not assessing. So I mean, I think when I first started, a lot of them were not taking the test. I wouldn't say a lot, but maybe 15% opted out of testing. Well, now we have all the kids are testing. So I feel really good that we've gotten to that point. They're all, you know, working on keyboard skills beforehand and doing practice tests. And so does that answer your question? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I just wasn't really sure where that data is, you know, where that's reported, or if it's reported, or you answered a lot of my question. I mean, they're tested and, you know, on an annual basis.
I just saw it on something that was sent.
They have their
out,
own
whatever.
number.
Yeah.
The program has their own number.
Yeah.
So it's its own sort of
Oh, like school, it's like a school.
a school ID
It's very tiny.
that's under our
That's-
LEA ID. Yeah, okay.
That's part of our problem, because whenever somebody finds us from somewhere else in the, you know, the county, or wherever they're coming from, they always say, we never knew you were here, because we don't have very good visibility.
Yeah.
We're kind of like hidden. I mean, I taught in the district for 10 years, I never knew it was here. I was like, what? I came in for another job to talk about, and I got moved into, they said, well, by the way, would you like this? And I'm like, oh, yeah, one room, it's like a one-room schoolhouse. And it's also because I'd done primary for so long, you know, I wanted to see the scope. Like, where are we going? And so all the training I mostly do at Simcoe is now with middle school. So I'm always there for, you know, Writing Institute or whatever they're doing. Because and now that I see that, now I really understand why we're doing what we're doing early on. So, you know, it makes sense. It's very good. I probably talked too much about this time, but I'm thankful.
I do
Anything?
want to comment,
Yes.
we're just really very fortunate to have Kathy
Oh,
as
thank
our
you. That's very sweet of you.
teacher. I mean, she's just incredible, has incredible talent and passion for the children.
Yes.
And we're just so incredibly grateful.
Thank you. I'm just happy I can be in this position. It's very wonderful. Yes?
So you can't sit down yet.
Hello.
I just want to say I've had experience, obviously, with Kathy's program, and so I've sat down there in her little classroom in her little chairs with one of my daughters in. But it's the homeschool program is the independent study program is one of those things that makes Pacifica a really great district. We have so many options for kids because the kids that don't fit inside these boxes of our schools we can actually say, well, we've got another box for you. We've got Kathy Green's class. We've got, so, you know, it just, when you have different options for kids, it really opens up our educational process and makes it a good place, makes it a great school district. So appreciate the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for allowing me for this time. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. You'd like us to leave now, right? Come on, Lynn. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for all your support. So appreciate it. Bye now.
CSCA?
Nothing at this time.
Thank you. I have no cards from people wishing to address the board. Correspondence? None. Okay. Board Superintendent Communications. Who would like to start with the sharing?
I can start. Everyone stares at me.
Thank you.
Okay, went to LMEC's back to school night, which was it was a lot of fun actually, and they gave all the parents and all of us a short lesson in sign language, in American Sign Language. So that was actually a long lesson in American Sign Language. So that was, and how they used it with the students and all that. So that was really informative. And then the big event recently, of course, was the Fog Fest, and our 7th and 8th grade band members marched with Terra Nova, so they were able to play with them. And then there was an alumni group with memorial T-shirts for Mr. Downs. There were about 90 kids, I think, in the alumni group that marched in the Fog Fest. And then I think pretty much all the schools had either volunteer booths or, you know, we had the parking at the north end, so participation, I think, from almost every campus in the Fog Fest.
Let me get my reading glasses on. I went to LMEC's back to school night as well, and I really enjoyed the sign language. And yesterday my daughter Rebecca came home and she started signing, and I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing? And she just joined, I know, because I thought it was so amazing. And she said she joined the club at Terra Nova for sign language, and I'm like, wow.
You'll
but
be able
it's
to communicate to
amazing. I know. I went to the joint articulation meeting with the city, Jefferson, the water department. The main topics of discussion was the marijuana laws and how it's going to affect the schools and how many feet and all of that. So I was just thinking sometime when our schedule's not so full in the beginning of the year, maybe we can get an update on the education of marijuana for our 8th graders. Also, that winter time is coming, so the city, you know, is hoping that we don't have any sinkholes and things like that. Then I went to the work study where we went over all of the district goals, and that was a lot to absorb.
You'll get it again.
That's it.
Okay. So there was a CSBA dinner event where it was actually the San Mateo County School Boards Association that hosted a dinner where staff members from CSBA, the California School Boards Association, came down from Sacramento and gave a talk about sort of their agenda moving forward. And so one of the big topics was educational adequacy and funding. And then they were also really talking about the pension crisis, and I'm going to call it a crisis because that's what it is, and sort of the due to the underfunding of the pension system and quite frankly predictions of the rate of return that they're making that are far too rosy. You know, a larger or an increasing portion of the costs are being passed along to districts to bear. So, and it's just getting worse all the time, and it's really putting a strangle on our operating budget. So there was talk about that. The other thing, went to the work study. We discussed the LCAP in depth, and looked at some of the, Will gave us a nice presentation of some of the results, as many as we had, because the dashboards aren't completely ready yet. But the CDE gave you a sneak preview as to some of the data, right, that they feel comfortable with. And then the last thing is that I went to last Thursday and Friday, I went to a retreat for a large project called Getting Down to Facts, which is a collection of about 30 studies, reports on California public education, governance, and finance. And it's being run out of Stanford by Professor Susanna Loeb, with academics, mostly from California, but some from Harvard and prestigious places. So I'm doing one of those studies, and I was able to sit with a lot of other people. So there are groups of studies surrounding everything from finance to teacher preparation and teacher pipeline to other issues of governance. So spent about 2 days with all those people. And I guess that's what I've been up to. I feel like there's something else, but I can't remember now. So.
So yeah, I think I did, it's some of that. At the CSBA meeting, they were quoting some statistics, and Jesse pointed out that he had written the paper that they were quoting from. So
It was a fun moment.
it was nice to go, yeah, he's on my board. We know our stuff. So anyway, but you know, it's all a little heady, a little complicated when you're talking about the politics around all of that. But hopefully we will end up in a good place. We'll see where we get with all that. And then I went to the joint articulation meeting too, and I always find it kind of fascinating what's going on in my city. I didn't know we were gonna have marijuana dispensaries. So I'm glad that came up. I don't know, maybe I just wanted to
Is
find
it
it
going
out.
to have or already have?
We already have.
We already have.
We already have. Where?
The one on Palmetto?
Are you kidding me?
Been there for a couple years.
There's
Yeah.
others
At least
There's
2 years.
another one too, I have no idea.
in Rockaway.
Rockaway.
I thought they
Yeah,
couldn't
Rockaway.
have them until January.
Well, these
are medical.
These are
Well,
medical.
so those are so the non-medical ones will open in January.
They're
will be
coming.
So I asked Mike if we were gonna be able to buy marijuana at the 7-Eleven. He said, no, you can't do that. But you can buy it at all these little stores. So we do live in interesting times. This is gonna be kind of interesting, and I hope not, harmful to our community. I worry about the kids.
Yes. I know. I think everybody went over everything that I did. I did want to say at the Lindemar open house that it was former parent Terry Voorhees who did the American Sign Language presentation. I also, this last weekend, attended our former library manager Tom Ball's tribute at the Sanchez Library, and it was really lovely. Sue Degree got up and did a little presentation from the city, and various people got up and spoke to memories of Tom, and he had a lot of music, and it was really nice. And at the Fog Fest, nobody mentioned that Wendy was a site captain with her vest, directing traffic.
And I was helpful to people. I
She was very proud of herself for being helpful, so.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yes, the Fog Fest was well attended and just a wonderful tribute, I think, to Jerry, with Terranova being so supportive and helpful. I think we had more students who participated in this activity or this Fog Fest than ever, so it was kind of nice. And I do want to thank Tom and Mark Unbehagen. Mark stepped in and was the substitute teacher, interim band teacher, until we could find a band teacher to take his place. And so today I believe he's on the personnel consent where we hired Ben Gower. And so he started last Friday and is with the support of Mr. Toland this week on his own. Mark has helped him, and then he will go on his own the week after. But Tom did a tremendous job in after the parade, because they all march off onto IBL. They had a wonderful tribute kind of memorial. Kids got to play songs, and Tom said a few words, and it was just, I think, a nice activity for everybody to kind of just be able to share their thoughts, etc. So I really appreciate it, Tom, because you know it's difficult for him too. I know. I think he started.
We were hired the same day
with Jerry. So you know it's one of those things that I just appreciate, because sometimes we have to do things that are not the easiest for us, but and he does it with such flair and compassion and organization. So I thank you. The other thing that I have done is I served on a workforce housing panel up at Skyline. I don't know if any of you were attending, but Don Horsley was on the panel, as was San Mateo High School District, and EHP, is that Environmental Housing Partners?
Mhm.
Or, yeah.
Educational
Housing Partners, or yeah, something like, who helped us do that beginning piece on should we move forward or not. So it was a great panel. It was interesting because San Mateo High School District is kind of taking a different path, so to speak, and so it's just good to hear what other people are doing, to get the perspective of Don and the support from the county. We will be going through, we do have an RFQ out now, a request for qualification, and getting great support from the nonprofit Heart in relationship to financing and this pre-construction piece. So things are moving forward, and it was a full house of people very interested in hearing about it. And then the last thing that I wanted to report on was that we did go to the kickoff for the LCAP, Local Control Accountability Plan, at San Mateo County Office of Ed today. And our district was asked to serve on a couple of panels. Ray Avila served on the special education panel, and I served on the stakeholder engagement panel. So I think that might mean that we had some interesting things that we added into our LCAP that they wanted us to share with other districts, etc. So that was a great time, and we're looking forward to getting feedback from the county to make sure that we can get stronger in our plan. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, we are on to district business. District goals. The district values the goals provided in our local control accountability plan and strategic plan. All of our district board agenda items are tied to these goals. One or more goals are listed in the description of each board agenda item. The details for each of those district goals can be accessed on our Agenda Online public page or by visiting the district website www.pacificasd.org under District Information Board of Trustees. Compliance Ed Code 49073.6, pupil information obtained from social media, LCAP Goal 3. Will?
Okay, so I present this recommendation for the Board of Trustees to adopt the student school safety programs to include social media and information. And a little bit of background information on this is that the actual recommendation is not to change any board policy, but it's actually to put it to allow for the students and the parents, the community, to be aware of if there were a situation where we would need to look at social media, publicly viewable social media, that we do have a board policy that dictates how that were to happen. So that's the recommendation, and it's in compliance with Ed Code 49073.6, which we need to follow. So that's the recommendation to the board.
Discussion?
Yes. Just some of the language, because we received the same thing from the high school district. And for example, can you give me an example? Like, let's say there's a child who's going to do a bomb threat on social media. So are you saying, or not you, but that the district is allowed to go and look on their social media or take their phone? Or how far of an extent does it go?
And so we would be following what our existing board policy is around that, and our existing board policy allows us to, we cannot take a personal device off a student without permission from the student and or parent of the student, but we can look at, in that circumstance, we can look at, through social media sites, we could investigate those social media sites to
The activity.
the activity on the social media sites.
So I'm wondering what's preventing, I mean, it's public domain once somebody posts something on, so what's preventing the district from doing that anyway? It almost seems like this is more of a courtesy, saying, you know, we're gonna start investigating your son or daughter because we have concerns, whether
Yeah.
it's self-harm or they're bullying somebody or they're posing a danger to their school. So I guess I'm just wondering, this doesn't really seem to give the district any latitude, if that's my understanding, any additional latitude, right?
Yeah, no,
Or it does?
this is based off a case that went to court
Yeah,
with regards to a district that had actually had a program in place to search social media sites when situations came up, but they didn't inform the public that this program was in place if there was a situation where we would need to check. So it's a bit wonky. To be honest with you, it's a bit wonky. I had to read through it like 6 or 7 times to figure out
it just seems
exactly
pretty
what-
strange because, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, if you're posting something to the internet, then it's going out to everybody.
Yeah.
Anybody can look at it, so I'm not really sure why there would be a court case against.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So my other question was, you know, when you get into the technical side of it, like the Wi-Fi, because a student's using their phone, their own personal device, and using the school's Wi-Fi, is there any
There's-
repercussions to doing that?
Yeah,
for
if
the
they're
student?
if they're on the district network or the district Wi-Fi, then all bets are off. You can look at any of that at any
Off their
time.
personal phone?
Off their personal phone. If they're using the district, if they're on the district Wi-Fi, then you can monitor. In fact, we can monitor what's activities happening on the district network at any time.
So I'm still just confused to why we're having all this. Is it,
It's based off a court case that occurred, and so this ed code was made because of this court case that came about. And it's more, again, for the purpose of allowing the public to have a discussion or to be aware that there are times that there would be a need for a district or district staff to investigate
Sure.
social media sites that are publicly viewable, but that for the purpose of student safety
Sure.
and these various things that are outlined in the memo.
what about student confidentiality?
Student confidentiality, meaning what?
Like, who would be able to see that? Who would be able to search that if it was under the district? And, like, there's some information I can't get on students, so who would that be designated to?
Our technology person, and then he happens to be a male, he would provide that information to the administrators.
Yeah. You, under the direction, from how I read it, under direction of an administrator directing the tech person to look into this.
So, for example, it couldn't be a teacher
No.
or a counselor?
Yeah, I guess I'm just a little confused. Any information that goes over the infrastructure here is fair game. Totally understood. That would seem like it could be private information.
Yeah.
What I read here is any publicly available online information at social media, which seems fair game for anybody in the world that has access to the internet to view. So this seems like more, like Wendy said, a transparency piece saying that this is the procedure this is a procedure that the district might undertake should there be any of these events in place. My only worry about something like that, I mean, this is a good document because it can also prevent the district, it details what the district should be doing. So the district should not systematically be doing this. Only in certain instances should they be doing this, right? So we don't want to hire somebody whose job it is to scan social media sites and try to catch students doing something that they ought not be doing. Rather, if there's a problem, this is another means to gain information to help perhaps solve the problem. That's the way I read it. So
That's clear.
And
The
that's
one-
correct.
The line into the district does not intend to make a practice of reviewing student social media accounts. So that's clear, and I think you stated it very well. That's exactly what the purpose of this item's for.
So what's the difference between what we were doing before, because we've had threats on social media before, and I know that the police department would be involved in. So what's the difference in going what we've been doing with traditionally versus now with this new court?
The difference is that we are informing parents and students ahead of time that there is a process and protocol that we will go through. Before we weren't. We just went through the process and protocol, even though it was outlined in the student handbook and in board policy. But we weren't putting it out there for open discussion.
So if this is adopted, what's the plan to disseminate this information to parents?
This is it.
And it's in our handbook.
It is in our handbook.
It's in the handbook.
Just wondering, you're living it right now, Jesse, this is it.
Well, but as Vern said, we got, the high school district sent their policy to every parent. So how are we gonna do that, or we just don't have any intention on that?
At the beginning of the year, there's a student handbook that outlines all this. So it is
That goes to every
published.
family.
Yeah.
And the student, they sign off, the parent signs off that acceptable use policy, so, but we just want to call it out. This is what it's saying, this is what we will be doing, should there be cause.
Any additional discussion? Okay, this is an action item, so is there a motion to approve the actions outlined in our social media compliance?
I move to approve.
Okay, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Board passes 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Or
And against?
Somebody
It's five of us.
I'm
And against?
abstaining.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Abstaining, thank
Oh.
you.
I'm
Okay,
sorry, one abstaining?
one abstain,
Thank
one
you.
abstention. Okay, 9B, Safe Schools Plan, LCAP Goal 1, Operations. Ray?
Okay, so annually, our board reviews and approves the safe school plans for our school sites, and we also have a safe school plan for the district office and the building next door. This is language that's embedded in our board policy 0450 that states that the board must do this annually. Traditionally, we've done it in the spring, but I'm very happy to say that the work was done early on prior to this school year so that we could bring it to the board very early in this school year for the 17-18 safety plan. So here this evening is John Hashizume, the Director of Facilities Maintenance and Operations, to answer any questions from our trustees now that you've had an opportunity to review the safety plans.
Could I just, excuse me, could I, before we field questions, could I just point out some highlights in the plan that have been improvements over last year's plan? One is, thanks to the efforts of Nelson and our IT folks, we now have new phone systems in all of our schools. So from any district phone, you can dial 911 directly. There's no prefix needed. You just hit 911 and you get, emergency services. So that's a huge improvement. The other thing is, at the recommendation of the Pacifica Police Department, we have instituted lockdown drills at all of our schools twice a year, and it's up to the principal to determine when the drill is actually held, but the idea is we would hold one in the fall and one in the spring. So that is something we had not done on a regular basis until this year at the recommendation of the police department. The third thing I want to point out is not in the safety plan, but it is part of our safety procedures for the district is, I think maybe at last year's safety presentation, we did talk about putting the seismic gas valve, shut-off valves on the gas lines. So we're going to do the last 3 sites, Ortega, Lindamar, and the district office on Monday. And once we get those in, all of our schools will have the seismic shutoff valve on the gas line. So I just wanted to point those things out, and now I'm here to answer questions for you.
Thank you. Board discussion, questions? Okay. I just wanted to say that I really appreciated these plans, including spelling out exactly what we're doing with our students in wheelchairs and with mobility issues. I really appreciated you adding that to this.
Okay.
I had a question on the school reciprocal relocation sites.
Right.
These are the sites, if these schools had to leave their sites, this is where they would go to?
Yes, that is the closest evacuation site. If we have to evacuate one of our schools, we would move the students and the staff to that relocation site. Or vice versa. Also, say like Alma Heights, they would come to, I believe it's Cabrillo, if they needed to evacuate their school.
Lindamar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lindamar.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a reciprocal arrangement, so.
And this is a reciprocal arrangement if there is something at that particular site. But I'm looking and I'm thinking, what if there's a catastrophic thing and Ocean Shore is supposed to go to Sunset Ridge, but both sites are down?
Yeah, I mean, if it's,
do we just assume that won't
yes, if
happen?
it's something region-wide, then yeah, it's a different issue, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that is specifically for a local incident at a single school, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is the plan if it's a?
If it's a region-wide, then we would really have to turn it over to San Mateo County Emergency Management Services, and we would take direction from them, yeah.
I see.
It would just depend on access, roads that may be blocked, all those sorts of things. So we would really have to take direction from San Mateo County Emergency Services.
Well, I appreciated so much more this layout than past years, so thank you, because I didn't feel, in years past, I mean, this was enough, but in years past, it really felt very convoluted, so I felt like this was very much more straightforward.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
This is an action item, so is there a motion to approve Safe Schools Plan?
I'll move to approve the schools plans, schools safety plans.
Okay, second. All in favor?
Board passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for all the work. Appreciate it, keeping our students and staff safe. 9C, grand jury report response. Should tire-derived products be used on athletic fields in San Mateo County? LCAP governance. Josie?
Okay, periodically, the San Mateo Grand Jury reviews and investigates different items throughout San Mateo County. And this report is centered around artificial turf fields. They became interested in what's called crumb rubber when you build the artificial turf fields, when they started hearing citizens' complaints and citizens' concerns about the safety of the material. So the grand jury conducted their report, they did investigations and read up on all the medical journals. They visited some of the San Mateo County high school districts who have artificial turfs. And they weighed the pros and cons and looked at the costs of building a turf field versus grass field, what's the maintenance between the two. They did a complete study, and the study is posted with this item on our website. And then after their study, they asked all of the school districts in San Mateo County to issue a response to the grand jury. So what I present to you tonight is a draft of our Pacifica School District response. As you read through the questions, you see some of them we can't respond to because we don't have, artificial turf fields, or we have no experience with the item. But the main point is that we are going to be cognizant of this material as we move forward with our facilities plans. If we are going to update our fields or build new fields, we will establish procedures to look at the costs, the benefits, the hazardous, the toxic materials, and we will have procedures in place before moving forward with building or redoing any of our fields in Pacifica School District. So you can see the responses. I don't know if you had any questions or any comments about the responses. We will send it out, send it back to the grand jury once it's approved by the board.
My response is similar to the last grand jury report. And I'm just curious, there's no message, there's no way that we can have a conversation about having to spend money and staff time on items that really do not apply to us?
Yeah, that's difficult because, at some point in time it might apply to us. We don't have turf fields, but if we go through, a bond measure and the fields are in high demand in all cities. If we decide that we want to change one of our fields, then we would want to have procedures in place and not just have somebody make a decision to put, grass versus AstroTurf. So it's kind of difficult. I see what you're saying. Some things don't apply to us at all. Mm-hmm. In this case, it's an educational component for us, for staff, to be aware of these issues and the studies that were done, and then as we move forward, we'd have to take this into consideration. But I agree with you. Some of these reports are just it does take up a lot of staff time studying
and
material.
Money, because we're hiring county council to craft these legal responses.
All the 22 school districts that were asked to respond had to write responses. Yes.
I just thought of it when you said that. The field at Ortega, the baseball field, does that apply to them too? Because they might decide to put in artificial turf.
In our contract with Pacifica American Little League, they can't redo the field without consulting with us. So it would apply to all school property, which brings up the Fairmont field as well, which is already complete with AstroTurf.
So is there any way that we would be able, in instances like this, we would be able to pool our resources with other districts and come up with kind of a joint response to a grand jury report?
Yeah, and county council.
Just try to save a little bit of.
That's what they do.
That's what county council.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But every school district is slightly unique, it has slight nuances, so they try to keep it so that we can put our particular situation in. And they're excellent at helping us.
Right. And if you look at the link that's online, you can see the districts that had already responded. So I had the luxury of reading their responses before this one.
Very nice. So were there other districts that had absolutely no turf, no rubber?
Yeah, there were some other ones.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything further? Okay. This is an action item, so is there a motion to approve the grand jury report response?
I'll move to approve.
Thank you. Second. All in favor?
Board passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you. 9D, General Obligation Bond Planning Contract, TBWBH, LCAP Goal Governance. Wendy.
So I bring forward to you this action item in relationship to a contract with TBWBH. They added an H. And what it's for is for them to help guide us through the second part of the planning phase to determine how to go about building a good plan for a general obligation measure for the June 2018 election. They have worked with us in past parcel tax measures and have been highly successful. We've felt a great relationship with them, and I think that they do, they have gotten to know our community now, and so it just seems like a good partnership at this time.
Board discussion or comment?
I mean, I had a very good experience working with them on the last parcel tax. And I found them extremely helpful. And so I'm not sure about, others. I think Kalima had worked with them before. She's no longer part of the district officially, but.
Anyone else? Okay. This is an action item where we are voting on accepting the general obligation bond planning contract. So is there a motion to approve? Thank you. Second? Thank you. All in favor?
Board passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you. 9E, public hearing resolution number 2017-10-04-A, statement of assurance for public textbook and instructional materials, LCAP goal number 1, governance. Will?
Yes, this is yearly. We do this now to approve the resolution around the assurance that pupil textbooks and instructional materials are in compliance with and are available and adequately accessible to our students. And that would include textbooks and instructional material.
Okay, board discussion, questions, comments? Okay, this is an action item. Is there a motion to approve the public hearing resolution number 2017-10-04-A, statement of assurance for public textbook and instructional materials?
One breath.
One
Very
breath.
good.
Okay, anyone? Motion for approval? Oh, okay, second?
Who got the first
No,
there?
I'm going to give you the first, Laverne. So second.
No, I'll second it then.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Board passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you. 9F, final certificated assignments, non-administrative operations. Wendy?
So this is just an information item just for you to see how many teachers we have in our classrooms and the support staff. We've broken it out into classroom totals as well as support staff, and then you can see what the grand total is. So if you looked at our classroom totals, we have 118.3 teachers in the classrooms, and in total it moves up to 156 or 157 employees in our district for certificated non-administrative. So that does not include our administrative staff, just people at the site. And district office, we do have specialists who support us in instruction, and so those are included also under district office.
Any questions about our certificated assignments, non-administrative? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
9G, job description, teacher, band, LCAP, goal 1 and 3. Wendy?
Okay, I'd like to, this is an action item that I bring forward to you. As we were in search of a new band teacher, one of the things that I discovered was we didn't really have an up-to-date single band teacher job description. So what we did was we looked at the grade 3 through 5 job description for the music teacher, and then we looked at what we had for the band teacher, and we kind of combined them. I asked Tom, who is our district music coordinator, to review it and see if it looked like it was all encompassing. He did, so I have provided for you the one with the markup so you can see what we added, and then one that's a clean copy so that it's for ease of reading.
Board discussion, comments?
So I went through this and it was very elaborate, so thank you, whoever did it before, and thank you for the markups. The one thing that I must have missed, though, is that there really isn't anything that I caught that looks at prior experience here. And I'm wondering if it's just so hard, that we'd be willing to get somebody straight out of, their own graduate education to do that, or if we wanted to at least put in a preferred qualification, right, of somebody that has previous experience working with kids in this kind of setting.
And that's exactly where you would do it when you post the position. For example, you might put preferred bilingual.
Sure.
So it wouldn't be in the job description per se, but depending upon your current staffing needs,
Okay.
is who you're looking for, you would put as a descriptor. So the job
Okay.
description itself is kind of
Okay.
a separate, but, I'm sorry, what did you say?
I was gonna say, this would be after they're hired, their job description,
Right.
not
Or
the
we-
hiring description.
Right, we post this with the flyer.
Gotcha,
And on
okay.
the flyer, it will say, marching band experience
Sure.
preferred. or-
So I was reading this as a vacancy announcement rather than an official position description.
Yeah,
So
and-
my bad.
No, it's not bad, it's a great question, thank you. It clarifies things, right?
Thanks.
Yeah.
I was curious with the working conditions.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
Have to lift
Is-
it.
Did we miss something?
No. Occasional contact with dissatisfied individuals and constant interruptions. Is that on all teacher positions?
Usually, yeah.
It's a reality.
It,
I know it's a reality. I'm just amazed it's like written in there.
well,
Okay.
because we want to be transparent. That's what,
Yeah.
you start a lesson and then boom, there's a fire drill. So,
Right.
And I'd be 25.
yeah. So, yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Any other questions, comments? Okay, this is an action item, so is there a motion to approve the job description teacher band? Second? All in favor?
Board passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
9H, Constitution Day, LCAP Goal Number 2, Governance. Will?
So Constitution Day. So this is an information item, and each year we observe, it's American Federal Observance of Constitutional Day, and at our school sites, there are various different activities that occur. For those, I have a file with all the different activities that have happened at different schools this year, and for some reason I left it in my office. But they all, at some point, in some way, have activities around the Constitution. So,
Well, you outline them
yeah.
quite a bit
Yeah.
in this memorandum. Any questions, comments, discussions about Constitution Day activities? Okay, thank you. 9I, outdoor education, overnight field trips, LCAP Goal 2 and 3. Will?
So, as you probably already know, all of our fifth graders, right? All of our fifth graders go to outdoor ed every year, and it's paid for by parcel tax, which I personally am impressed with, because coming from a different district, that wasn't the case in the district that I was in. This is a recommendation for the board to approve all of the trips, the outdoor ed trips, for all the fifth graders in our district, and they're going on separate days, and they're outlined in the memorandum of those days.
Is it unusual to have 3 schools going at one time?
A lot of the times the scheduling is really dependent. At the various different sites, they have a Yosemite outdoor ed site, and then they also have, I think they have 4 sites, but I know the one that's Marin Headlands there's another site there on Marin Headlands. So a lot of times the scheduling piece, I know this from personal experience, the scheduling piece is you only have short windows of times that you can select, and so sometimes there's some overlaps. And our entire, in the district I was in, our entire 3 schools went on the same week almost every single year. Because they're large sites, and so they can accommodate a number of schools, depending on the numbers of each of those schools.
So this doesn't put any kind of a strain on, well, we don't really need subs, but not all 5th graders go, so somebody has to stay behind with it. So, but it's not a particular strain on us?
I don't think so.
Okay. Good. Oh, it's probably, you can see their neighbors, I guess.
Yeah.
Bonding experience.
Okay, this is an action item. Is there a motion to approve the outdoor education overnight field trips?
I motion to approve. Well, then I'll second.
I'll do the second. All in favor?
Board passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you. 9J, public report on developer fees, LCAP operations. Josie?
Okay, developer fees are collected in the city whenever a resident builds a house or reconstructs, modernizes their home. And the high school district collects the fee, and it's divided between the high school district and Pacifica, or whichever city they're sharing, if it's Brisbane or Daly City. So annually, we bring to the board a report of how much we've collected and what is the balance in the fund. Currently, we haven't been spending our developer fees because these funds are very restricted. There's regulations where you need to spend them in areas of growth. So if you had a housing development, on the north side of town, you could spend the fees upgrading maybe a portable at Sunset Ridge or the parking lot. So we haven't been spending the fees. We have about $270,000 in the fund. And what you can do, and we're looking at if we're able to pass a GO bond, you can also match these fees, these funds, with other funds, like, for example, to build a band room or some type of new construction. So that's one thing we're looking at as we build our facility master plan. The other thing that I'm going to be looking at this year is getting a new justification report. Our report's old, but you hire a company to do a fee justification report, and they look at the city, they look at the population, the growth, the enrollment of the students, and in the report they kind of write what the justifications are for spending the funds. And so I'll be looking at getting one of those reports updated. They also look at if you're charging the appropriate fee, or can you increase your fee based on what the statutes are. So right now it's really an annual report for the board to see what's in the fund. We've just been earning interest and collecting fees as there's been more construction the past year, so the balance has gone up to almost $270,000. But it is something we're going to build into our facilities planning so that we can best utilize these funds moving forward.
So these funds I'm looking, the rationale to accommodate the larger size of the district's reopened campuses. So do these have to be on new facilities like we? like-
No, it doesn't have to be new facilities.
Okay.
It can be, for example, when there was some growth in Valleymar many years ago, this turnaround, that road between the district office and Valleymar didn't exist. They justified building that to accommodate the higher enrollment and the higher traffic. So you can do things to kind of help the flow of traffic where there's an increased population, upgrade portables.
Right, so we couldn't use these fees on, repairing, like the roof of the portable?
No, it's not for repair.
Okay, okay.
See, now, I don't know if they're gonna approve this, but one of the things that we did not do at the modernization was put a band room, I believe, at Ocean Shore.
Right.
And so what happened at Ocean Shore, I think with the modernization, is they increased their enrollment there for program. And so my justification would be, it was a smaller campus before and we grew that enrollment. So we need to provide that music room at Ocean Shore. That's my, so we'll have to see if that's something that they could do, because we didn't do that at the beginning.
Right. So what is the process on that then? Do we put that suggestion forward to some entity and they approve that we can use these funds for it?
Well, the entity wouldn't approve the funds. The company that writes fee justification reports, they pretty much just look at the city population, the growth, capacities, and they issue the parameters. We would be the ones to determine, of course, we'd consult legal counsel. And Lozano Smith has like a book this big on the proper use of developer fees. So we would look at, when we're doing our facilities planning, what areas could we use the revenues for, and then we would consult legal counsel to make sure it's justified within the report that we had received, the fee justification report from, because you're supposed to do that report every few years. It's just like the actuary report where you have to order the report, keep up on it every few years. So we're at the time where we can order a new report, see what's in the parameters of that report, and then we can kind of build in suggestions and consult counsel on what we can move forward with. It's just we haven't had a lot of funding in the account to even think about what could we do. The balance has been so low,
So I'm just thinking, I guess what I'm trying to understand in my head is we have declining enrollment, but that is not a factor into it.
We have to look at where, what schools over the years have had increases that would justify it. But it's really meant to be areas of growth because they're building houses or apartments, and so you're using the funds in an area where there's been a growth in population. And so if you don't have that, then we have to look at what's the next level, how can we use the funds in this next level, and how can we justify it?
Okay.
When you look at it, really, that 260,000 for modular or something like that is not a lot of money.
It's not enough.
So we figure we have time.
Yes, true.
It is nice to have though, so
Yeah.
moving forward.
I'm just curious if it would pay for like water faucets out on the recess yard.
I'm not sure. We had asked about technology and furniture before, and that didn't cut it because it wasn't part of the infrastructure. Maybe water fountains are more connected. We'd have to find out about that. Don't have an answer for you right now.
That's with the
I'm just
facilities
curious.
master plan. Yeah.
No, it's a good.
Ortega has the soccer field, and they have PAL and no water faucets on the weekend, so I'm just curious.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, what I was thinking about, does it have to be for non-personnel, or can it also be for personnel? Because I was thinking about, if we were so lucky to have a school that had enrollment growth due to housing development, hiring, a crossing guard, because there's going to be increased traffic in the area. So
It makes sense, but I'm pretty sure personnel is
okay. So
excluded.
it's really for projects, like infrastructure projects.
Infrastructure, capital.
Okay. Watch it grow.
Okay, then we are on to future agenda items.
Okay, one of the things that, just from our work study, that we noticed was it was pretty long, and we appreciated you hanging in there with us. And so we will be bringing forward a brief update to our work study on our LCAP, but we also thought it might be interesting to add a wellness presentation so we could go more in depth on school climate and on our physical fitness test, because it just, you can only look at the numbers for so long. So we thought that if we split it up a little bit, it'll be a little more, be easier to comprehend, more comprehensible, I guess, is a better term. So we thought we would do that, so add a presentation, and Ray would be doing that presentation.
On wellness.
On wellness, school climate and physical fitness. So, because wellness now has really moved away from just what you put in your mouth and nutrition to really just the whole student, the whole person aspect of it.
Is the drug awareness for our middle schoolers, would that be part of the wellness too? To have an update on what our plan is for the year for their education?
We could include that, yeah. Yes, because we also do an integrated services update in January, so that's kind of where I was thinking, I wrote that down and I was thinking that's where we would add it, but because it's so in the news right now, and I'm really excited about some of the steps we've taken to be very proactive about it, so I think it'd be great information for you to have.
That's it?
Everything else is the same.
Okay, nothing else from the board? Then we are adjourned at 8:15.
Wow. Thank you.
What?
That is
So that's going to be at the November meeting?